Blessings and welcome to the Path to Freedom, this wonderful adventure that we get to be on, that we get to participate in as we are waking up to who and what we are, as we are transforming our lives forever and for the better, as we are allowing for ever greater and grander expressions of who and what we are to emerge, as we are setting ourselves free to soar, to shine, to glow beyond anything that we've ever experienced, anything that we've ever imagined, where we get to set ourselves free to be in ever expanding love and joy and peace and harmony and wholeness and beauty and abundance and all these beautiful, magnificent, divine qualities that are fully present everywhere, that are the truth and the essence of who and what we are. So we're not ever lacking anything, we're not ever missing anything, but what we get to do as we are walking this beautiful path is to release and let go of that which no longer serves. The small, the limited, the thought patterns, the opinions, the judgments, the sense of being not enough, the sense of being separate from the good that we wish to experience, a sense of lack, a sense of scarcity, a sense of, once again, separation. Releasing and letting go of that which obscures the light that we are, the love that we are, the peace that we are. Well, you hear it, right? There is so many goodies along this path. There is so many reasons for us to continue to do this work, because it is work. Doing this inner work, it truly is work. It's sometimes hard work, it's sometimes difficult work, but we need to do it. There's no getting around it. There are no shortcuts to awakening. There are no shortcuts to enlightenment. There are no shortcuts to transformation. We need to do it. Sometimes it's magnificent and absolutely beautiful and wonderful. Sometimes it's funky and messy and all these kind of things. And this beautifully moves us into the topic. Well, before we get to the topic, I want to thank you. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for participating. I want to thank you for choosing to tune into this space, for doing this work, for for being courageous enough to break free from perhaps the herd consciousness, from the collective human consciousness, for setting yourself free. Thank you. So the topic for this particular message is smile. Something wonderful is always happening. Smile. Something wonderful is always happening. We could just as easily say, smile, all is well. Or smile, perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. Or smile, everything is working for our highest good. There are different ways of expressing the same thing. But the key word here is smile. And this sort of points to, as you may have noticed, rejoicing, celebration, being of good cheer, that is a huge theme in my life right now. As I'm being beautifully up-leveled and expanded, as I'm being beautifully moved into the next iteration, that iteration, I'm becoming more and more aware of it. That iteration is more founded, more grounded, more centered in joy. The beautiful teaching by Jesus where he said that, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. And a beautiful affirmation that has come to me quite recently is relax, rejoice, and simply be. Or relax, rejoice, and simply let it be. And so as we're moving along this path, we are bound to bump into challenges. We inevitably come face to face with these beautiful spaces that does not necessarily feel good all the time. The messiness of transformation doesn't feel good always, but it is still a blessing. These spaces, these challenges, the issues that we bump up against, the small and the limited ways of being, ways of moving through life, perceptions, beliefs, these need to come into our awareness. These need to come into our consciousness so that we may release and let these go. And so, as perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening, as we are moving toward our visions, intentions, as we are saying yes to forever grow, expand, we will move through spaces. And I'm from time to time, I hear myself say that this is like a roller coaster ride. Life is like a roller coaster ride where we absolutely get to enjoy the highs, where we are soaring, when we are absolutely flying in high vibrations, and we absolutely need to move through the spaces when we're not flying in high vibrations, when we're not soaring, when we're not enjoying life to the fullest, but where life is messy and life is yucky and life doesn't feel good at all. Both are beautiful parts of the coin that is called transformation. And so as we are moving, as we're going downhill, we've been soaring and we have been enjoying and flying through life, experiencing a beautiful flow for a period of time. And then all of a sudden, sometimes what seems as all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're just pulled down into darkness, dankness, funkiness. What we need to realize is that even in the midst of this, nothing is wrong. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. We're not lacking anything. We're not missing anything. We are on the still ride. We're still on the same roller coaster, only we're now going downhill. And I was having a conversation with an individual only yesterday, and they were sharing a funky space that they're moving through and how they were trying to find a way to move through that space. And I was sharing a little bit about how I'm moving through the space and how my experience currently is being squeezed. I feel as though I'm a lemon being squeezed by an elephant. Like the elephant I'm underneath the elephant's foot. And so I'm being squeezed. And that's my experience right now. And I was sharing this and they were like, how do you keep on moving? How do you keep moving forward? And they were sharing their experience and all these structures that were falling apart in their lives as they are being up-leveled. They didn't see it from the perspective of being up-leveled. They were seeing it as though their life was falling apart. And I shared with them that even when it seems as though our life is falling apart, we always need to realize, and we always want to come back to the 3 pillars of trust: the allness of spirit, the benevolence of spirit, and the perfection of spirit. The God, this benevolent, loving presence, it is all there is, fully present in every space and place, the one and only mind, the one and only power, the one and only intelligence, the one and only life, the one and only source of anything, everything. So there's nothing outside of spirit. There is not spirit and something else. There are no dualities. There are no opposites in this benevolent, loving presence. It is all there is, the all in all, right? And also this benevolent, loving presence, it is good. It is for itself. It is always moving itself into expansion, into progression, into realizing, revealing more of itself, expressing more of itself, knowing more of itself in us and through all of creation, in us and through us. And it is expressing itself perfectly, meaning divine and perfect timing is always happening, divine and perfect action is always happening, divine and perfect activity is always happening. So when we come back to this, when we come back to trusting and surrendering that even in the midst of this, our lives may be falling apart. We may feel as though we are falling apart, as though we are dissolving. Nothing is wrong. Nothing needs to be fixed. Perfect unfolding is still happening. All is still well. Something wonderful is still happening. Everything is still working for our highest good. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is our perception, is where we turn our attention. If we can raise our gaze from above the conditions and circumstances, if we can take a step back, if we can take on a higher vantage point, a higher perspective, and see the bigger picture here, just like puberty is very messy in the human unfolding, in the unfolding of a human individual. Just like the metamorphosis is very messy for that caterpillar that literally dissolves, just like any seed in nature, for that seed to allow for whatever the seed is destined to become, an oak tree or a tulip or a rose or a lilac bush or a geranium or whatnot, for that unfolding to happen, the seed needs to be cracked open. Cracked open. It cannot stay the same. The caterpillar cannot remain the same. The young child cannot remain the same for the next iteration of any of these to unfold, to come forth, to be midwifed, right? And so the only thing that is happening when we're moving through the messiness is that we are being cracked open. We're being invited to release and let go of something. So rather than staring ourselves blind, getting caught up in the conditions, the swirling, the whirling, the turbulence, we want to raise our gaze, take on a higher vantage point and smile. Rejoice, give thanks that, oh my goodness, thank you so much that I get to be moved through this space, that I get to be guided and led through this messiness, that I get to be sourced, fueled, and funded so that I have everything that I need to move through this space. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful transformation that is happening, the beautiful healing that is happening. So let us in this now moment take a couple of deep breaths, resetting, reclaiming our minds, coming back to the nowness of this moment, breathing in, and releasing. Another deep breath in. And releasing. Let us put a smile on our face, regardless of whether or not we feel like smiling. The ego may have us believe that we have nothing to smile about. We may experience resistance towards smiling. Regardless, I invite us to smile. And I invite us to say out loud, all is well. Something wonderful is happening. Everything is working for my highest good. Perfect preparation and unfolding is happening now in my life. So what we're doing is that we're reprogramming our minds. We're turning our attention away from the conditions and circumstances. We're turning our attention away from the judgments and the opinions that we may be hijacked by, that we may be held hostage by, and we're turning our attention toward the benevolence. Life is always for itself. It is always for its own expansion, always for its own expression. And as we are unique, perfect, whole, complete expressions of life, it means that life is always for us. Everything is always for us. Even in the midst of this, Perhaps we cannot see the gifts and the blessings that are here, but it doesn't mean that they're not here. It simply means that we cannot see them, but we can still trust that they're here in exactly the same way that we're trusting that the sun is still shining even at night. Even when the clouds are so heavy that we cannot see the sun, we're still trusting that the sun is here. We do not for an instant believe that the sun has been turned off or that it has gone missing. Just because we cannot see the air doesn't mean that we do not trust that whenever we need to take a breath, the air is here for us, right? So we need to trust the invisible more than we trust the visible. And smiling, just putting a smile on our faces, because what happens when we smile is that we send this smile, this heavenly smile, this healing smile, it sends signals to the body. It sends a message to the body. And the message that it sends is that in this now moment, all is well. And the body, regardless of whether or not we're faking the smile or if it is a genuine, authentic smile, the body responds by producing healing chemicals, tonic chemicals, chemicals that strengthen the immune system, chemicals that slow down the aging process, and probably do a whole lot more. So just by smiling, healing is happening, rejuvenation is happening, reconfiguration is happening within the body. So when we are going downhill, when we are finding ourselves in turbulence, rather than frowning, complaining, bemoaning, whining, we want to smile. Not denying the experiences that we're having. We do not want to spiritually bypass our experiences, our human experiences. But regardless of whatever our experiences are, we can still smile. We can put that smile onto our face and we can affirm and declare and decree to ourselves that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good. It will not immediately shift and change our conditions and circumstances, but it will immediately shift and change, transform our experience of them. And as we sustain this higher vibration, as we sustain this frequency, this high frequency, the whole universe rises up to meet us there, because the sacred laws are eternally, continuously, perpetually monitoring our vibration, our habitual feeling tone. And as we elevate our feeling tone, as we elevate our vibration, the circumstances will begin to shift and change. When we change, everything begins to change. That's the third principle of transformation. When we begin to change, everything begins to change, but we need to begin to change. Sitting around waiting for the conditions and circumstances to change, that's not going to do it. But we need to be the instigator. We need to be the ones initiating, midwifing the transformation, the shifting, the changing of the external. So once again, let's take these beautiful couple of deep breaths, putting a smile on our face first, breathing in, and breathing out. Once again, breathing in, and releasing. And as we're moving through our challenges, this is the work that we get to do on a moment-to-moment basis, using our moments in between, whenever we remember to come back, to smile, remind ourselves that all is well, remind ourselves that something wonderful is happening, remind ourselves that everything is working for our highest good, remind ourselves that perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. Remind ourselves that this benevolent, loving presence that knows all, that sees all, it knows exactly what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and when it needs to happen for the highest possibility of everything, for anything, every single one of our lives. to come into fruition. And it makes sure that it happens. We need to participate. We're not the ones making it happen, but we need to participate. And the way we participate is by staying in a high vibration, is by standing and living and moving from an expanded consciousness. So whenever we become aware of our consciousness being contracted, fear taking over, worry taking over, doubt taking over, complaining taking over, whining taking over, victimhood taking over, we want to smile and simply and gently remind ourselves that something wonderful is happening now. Always and in all ways. Always and in all ways. And this is how we participate. This is how we allow for whatever good that we wish to experience to come into fruition, to emerge from within us. Just like nature, a seed planted in the ground, it has no no in it. There's nothing obstructing the unfolding within the seed. There's nothing hindering the next iteration of that seed to come forth. Us having been given this beautiful mind of ours, our reflective consciousness, the ability to choose to make any choice in any given moment, to turn our attention toward whatever we wish to turn our attention to. When we hang out in the lower vibrations, the fears, the worries, the doubts, sense of not being enough, sense of not having enough, lack, scarcity, separation, this is when we obstruct, deny, delay the manifestation of the good that we wish to experience. So us consciously participating is heeding Jesus' words when he said, "Be of good cheer, for I've overcome the world." Be of good cheer, lift your gaze. Do not get too caught up in conditions and circumstances. Those are transient. These are transient. These are passing. They are not eternal. They will not last forever. They will pass. So why not let them pass with the least resistance? Why not let them pass with ease and grace? As we're hanging out in the higher vibration, that is what happens. The conditions, the circumstances, they pass with ease and grace because we're not of that world. We're not of that density. We are of a higher vibration. We are in alignment with something higher, with a higher possibility, a higher experience. We are a match to a more joy-filled experience. So smile, because something wonderful is happening, even when we cannot see it, even in the midst of this, even now, something wonderful is happening. So the invitation for us in this now moment is to set the intention to however we want to iterate it, articulate it. We can use Jesus' words, be of good cheer. We can say that we set the intention to rejoice, to celebrate our way through life, to dance our way through life. We can set the intention to be of a high vibration, to sustain that high vibration regardless of conditions, circumstances. Whatever intention resonates with us, we want to set the intention so that we consciously participate in staying in high vibration, so that we consciously participate in allowing for joy to be permanent in our lives, in allowing for rejoicing, celebration, gratitude to be permanent in our lives. And questions to augment and support this invitation. Actually, another aspect of the invitation is for us to become aware of the ego's excuses. What are the excuses that the ego is tossing into our face as to why not smile, as to why not rejoicing, as to why not stay in that high vibration, so that we become increasingly aware of what is obstructing, obscuring, of what we're being hijacked by, of what we're being tricked by, so that we may set ourselves free. Being forewarned is being forearmed. as the saying goes. Now, this is not about warfare. This is about us being prepared to fortify our consciousness so that we may stay expanded, so that we may stay in a high vibration. All right. Enough for today. No particular questions at this point, I believe. Actually, there is. This vibration. So this is a question that we're wise to ask from time to time, to lean into as we're moving through our moments in between. What am I feeling now? Or what is my vibration now? Am I hanging out in the higher vibrations, joy, love, peace, harmony, wholeness? Or am I hanging out in the lower vibrations, fear, worry, doubt, separation, lack, scarcity? So to become aware, and as we become aware, we're being given the opportunity to make a new choice, to choose to lift our vibration even more, even higher, to expand our consciousness even more. So those are the invitations and those are the questions. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, for participating, for being here, for joining me. Until we meet again, I absolutely, as always, bless our days, and I bless our ways in the full knowing. And feel free to join me in saying this out loud, in the full knowing that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good, that perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. With much love and many blessings. Namaste.